All right, man. Look at this. We're joined by Joe Habib and Ashy Knuckles on here, man. Doing our thing. Glad to have both of you guys on. We did a Friday show, remember, about a year ago. Remember that? And
Did
then
we?
about
Oh yeah, okay.
yeah. And
I
then we
really
had
don't remember, to be honest.
I think that's the first show you came on, Ashy, actually. And then we
Oh,
started doing it on Tuesdays. Um it was like a Friday, and then you said, Tuesdays works better for me. We went on from there.
okay. Now I remember.
Yeah,
I
and then
remember saying, yeah.
yeah, Joe Habib was here with us, and he started. You didn't sing the song this time, Beeb?
What song did I sing last time?
The boys are back. What were you saying?
Oh, the boys are back in town. Yeah. I remember that.
The boys are back in town, and so here we are, rope a dope reunion, sort of. Like not all the way, but almost there.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Chris cannot make it. So we'll see what I can always bring Chris on, and another time, but glad to have you guys on. Hopefully, Calix could jump on during the show. We have Nadeem, aka NBT Boxing. I know it's you, bro. Okay, and A Rod, how is it going, man? A Rod 83 on here. Make sure you guys throw a jab at the like button. Make sure it turns blue. We've been doing these Throwback Thursdays. This is a special edition on Friday, but first things first. Hey Ashley, how you been, man? How's life in the COVID world been for you?
I mean, shit. I've just been getting my quarantine on. You know what I'm saying? Shit. I just had a whole lot of extra time to chill with the family. Something I hadn't had in about 2 years. And while I've heard a lot of stories about people getting into it with their significant other, being forced to be around them, 24 hours every day.
Yeah.
I haven't had any issues, man, and I've been enjoying the time with my kids and stuff like that. They're growing. The only bad part is the money got cut off. But if you're smart with your money, in my field, if you're smart with your money, you could take a year off. Honestly, maybe two, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I don't want to do that, but this was an unforeseen circumstance. So you just got to do what you got to do.
Absolutely, man. I mean, thankfully, I have like a savings and stuff like that. Related to COVID, because of the whole pandemic going on, lockdown, I lost my job. You know what I mean? But I do have that and stuff, and that's a whole nother story. But I've still been doing fine, though. You know what I mean? Like everything's been good. And then, of course, Joe Habib, man. I know you did the last week's show. Are you excited?
I'm very happy to be with you guys. You guys haven't aged at all, man. Like this is like I'm just so impressed how good everyone looks. Like this is like when you say throwback, this is like we jump back in a time machine. We haven't skipped a beat here,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. We all look the same age, kind of. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we haven't changed that much. So I think we even look better now than we did back then.
Well, I don't know about that, but
we're better. We're leaner. We're in better shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, man. Hey, Ashley, I want to ask you, what do you remember about Robodope? How you were asked to come on and all that. Well, what do you remember about all that?
Now, strangely, because I don't consider myself having the best memory, but I do remember that because I was getting ready to start my own podcast.
Okay.
I was going to call it A Puncher's Chance, ironically. And then I got a message from Chris saying that he was doing one, and that he's talked with the guys, the people who we talk to each other all the time on YouTube, pass each other videos, respond to each other's videos, leave comments. You know how the community was back then. So when he said he was doing it, and then y'all were going to be a part of it, I just ditched what I was going to do. I threw that to the side and said, I'm gonna come aboard with everybody else, and that's how it all started. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. What about you, people? What do you remember how you were asked to come on Robodope Radio?
I got a message because back then on YouTube you could use the messaging feature, and
right.
Yeah, he messaged me, and I was very excited that he messaged me because I've never been part of a podcast before.
Right.
And I have to thank Chris for reaching out to me because I don't know if I ever would have done it before, and by doing it, I kind of learned a lot doing that show. I've grown over the years, developed interviewing skills on that show. Just developed being part of that environment in that format just by doing it every week. In the beginning, I'm not going to lie, I was a little nervous in the beginning doing it because I never did it before.
Yeah.
And so many people were listening to us, and I was all obviously concerned about how we were going to sound and how we were going to be received by the listeners. But as time went on, I just thought that we all got better. I thought we all gelled. I thought our interviews were classic. And in the beginning, Ashley got us the Charlos, got us
Juan Diaz.
Juan Diaz, I think, was the first guy you got us.
Yeah. Got some locals. Marcus was on, and I forget some other cats was.
Who was the guy that passed away? Was his last name Henry?
Oh, Omar Henry, yeah.
Omar Henry. Yeah, may he rest in peace. He was one of the early ones too. Yeah.
Remember Chris kept saying the Kodo clone in his show.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah. I mean, I have to thank Chris because I don't know if I ever would have got involved in podcasts because after that I've been involved in two, and I'm doing one right now.
Yeah.
With my friend Eric Lauda at Ringside Reporter. So Chris kind of got me started because before I was just doing the video thing. So
Okay. Well, my journey was a little different. Like I didn't receive a message or anything from anybody. But what I do remember is doing just shows kind of like on speaker with you, Joe, and we would do like videos and stuff, like collaborations.
Did a lot of collabs, yeah.
And we started the 12th and final round channel. It was JR, Julian, yourself, and me, and we started the 12th and final round. And when I saw, that there was a block toxing happening, I said, you know what, like that's perfect for a post-fight show, and I noticed no one was doing it. So I said, let's go do it. And you had told me at the time, from my understanding, you told me at the time that I guess you were already asked by Chris to do Rope-a-Dope Radio, right? And then and how did that go down? Because I think there's a little bit of a confusion. From my understanding, the way I understand it was, because I never asked Chris directly, so I don't know. But the understanding was he eventually said, yes, let's do it on Rope-a-Dope Radio, right? But what was I always had the sense that it wasn't a yes at first. So I mean, what do you remember about that?
Well, I believe that I asked him, and he did say yes. He did say yes eventually. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, he just had to figure out like how we were going to do it, and But I always wanted you to be on the Wednesday show too. That was something that I always wanted you to be on because you and I always had a good rapport. We had good chemistry, and I thought you were a good fit for the Wednesday show too. But you ended up doing the post fights with us on Saturday. So
the post fight was great. We called it the 12th and final round. Great stuff there. One thing I wanted to bring up was the quote that Chris would always say, we're following in the footsteps and leave it in the ring. Now, I already publicly came out and said I didn't like that. I know. Ashley, what would run through your mind when Chris would say that at the start of every show?
Chris was trying to pay homage to 97 Rough and Blood Boxing since I think they were the first ones to do the boxing podcast. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I mean, me particularly, I didn't have a problem with it. You know what I'm saying? I know he really looked up to those guys, and Blood is cool. You know what I'm saying? They were cool, and we were all a community. So, I guess I don't know. I really didn't care that he said it or not. It didn't bother me. I wasn't offended, or I didn't feel like I was, dragging on their coattails or anything like that, or trying to be like them. I got respect for them. I got respect for everybody who got respect for me. So
absolutely,
it was no big deal. It wasn't a big deal that he was saying that. Not to me, it wasn't.
Now, already being there, what are some of your, that you remember, right? Your fondest like interviews and stuff like that, Ashley, like that you remember.
Fondest interviews. Ooh, okay. We actually got a plethora of fighters over the span over our run. You know what I'm saying? So that's a lot to choose from. Um, I don't know if I can narrow it down. Come back to me. Let me ponder on it for a minute.
Oh well, Pondius was the first, right? But
Huh?
Juan Diaz was the first interview we had, right?
Yeah, Juan is probably the first, but I mean, I wouldn't call that my fondest because I can go around, go up the street and go to Juan's house right now. He's accessible, down here. You know what I'm saying? All of our stars, man, that we got down here, everybody knows them. You can roll up on them like, well, not that it matters. I could see Laura at Walmart or something like that.
Oh shit!
So,
okay.
yeah, it's not a big deal.
We had the Charlos
like 1,000 times. So, huh?
You got us the Charlos when they were like prospects. I remember that.
Yeah, man. Did y'all really believe they were going to become what they end up becoming?
You told us
back then. I taught, man. I was like, they can fight. I'm telling you.
Remember, I came back to you one day and I said, Ash, you were right about the Charlo twins. I said, you called it way back when.
Yeah, we had Danny Garcia. Remember him? It was just a prospect.
Yeah, we were a prospect based.
Yeah,
for a good deal.
Well, you know why? Because I mean, we weren't going to get the big names. You know what I mean? Like Floyd and Manny weren't. Yeah. So we had to get the young, hungry lions because those were the ones that wanted to talk to everybody.
And back then, you could just DM them with Twitter or Facebook or call them up or whatever. Now you got to go to publicists and stuff. Now the game's changed now.
Yeah, we're going to talk about one in a little bit, but B, well, what are some of your most fondest, memories as far as interviews?
That Paulie Malignaggi interview was classic. I thought that was hilarious.
Wow.
I like how Ash kind of like I think
started with Lou. He started with Lou there.
I like when it's the whole thing started off with Lou, and I like how it kind of like when Ash opened up the can of worms with Lou, kind of he said like, this is a guy that I forget the question you asked him or something, but you were like, Paulie was with you for a long time, and then all of a sudden something happened, and you kind of just cut him loose or something like that. I'm paraphrasing here, but then that just was like, he went on a freaking tirade, and because of that, Paulie came on. I think that the following week and wanted to respond to that.
Well, Paulie wanted to come on because of what Lou said, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And here's what I remember. I don't know if you remember this, Ashley, but so Paulie comes on and it's like fire because he wanted to come on to respond to Lou DiBella, right?
Right.
And Chris has started the interview like a standard interview, like, so how you doing? And like, who's going to fight next? And you have any plans? And we're all just like, at least I was like, so are we gonna like get to it? Like, But he did kind of like, if you remember, he kind of cut him off. And well, you know what? Let's talk about why I'm here. And then he went on his little rant there. He got a little bit flustered. You know what I mean? Paulie did. A little frustrated there.
Was that the same interview that he was shitting all over Devin Alexander and stuff, or was that another interview? Did he come on twice? No, that one where he was dogging Devin Alexander after the Tim Bradley fight. He was talking about Devin Alexander. He's like, he wanted out of it.
Something like that.
Yeah, he goes, he wanted out of there so bad. If there was a helicopter and they dropped a rope ladder in there, he would have jumped on that rope ladder. He would have just got out of there. It was hilarious. He was just snapping on it. That was so funny, bro.
It's crazy because when we bring up the Charlos when they were prospects, and now they got a big pay-per-view coming where they're both on the same. I mean, we bring up Paulie Malignaggi when he was doing it, and then he's in the headlines right now. People think we're doing this on purpose, you know what I mean? But and then we had Danny Garcia, who's going to be fighting Spence soon. You know what I mean? So we did have a good amount of prospects there. I did like my favorite was having Mickey Ward on.
That was a great interview.
Yeah,
that was right before the fighter. B. So walk everyone through how you basically Because you even told me you talked to Universal Studios. So like you like went full fledged. You know, how did you get Mickey Ward on Robodope Radio when The
So
Fighter was about to come out, the movie?
so I had his number and I reached out to him, but because The Fighter was coming out, he had to get permission to do interviews through Universal Studios. So he told me to call Universal Studios to ask for permission. So I called Universal Studios, but I didn't really get through to anybody. There's no way they were going to talk to me. Like, who am I, right? So he's like, did you call the studio to get permission? I said, yeah, we're all set. But I called, but of course I never talked to anybody. So I just told him, yeah, we're all set.
Yo,
So he thought,
you could have got a Mickey Ward in trouble, bro. Imagine if they shut down the whole movie. You know,
Yeah.
but yeah, I remember Mickey Ward came on, and it just felt like a big deal. I remember it got Al Bernstein on,
I love
right?
that one. That was a good
And
one.
Kevin Iole. Kevin Iole was. There was a time where having a writer on was like a big deal. You know what I mean? Maybe not so much now, but it was a big deal back then. But a lot of stuff there. BFTV, I appreciate the support. It's a salute to my guy D-Style. Absolutely.
That's like the best.
Yeah, shout out to you, man.
You remember Nate Campbell? Nate Campbell was on one time.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
He held nothing back about the Pacquiao.
oh yeah. Oh
Nothing.
yeah. He even got into politics and shit like that.
Yeah.
You know, he's a big Republican, you know. Out in Florida.
Okay.
A lot of the Florida cats are Republican.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I'm a independent. I separated myself from either side a long time ago.
Oh yeah.
Both full of shit. But no disrespect to anybody.
If I'm not mistaken, I think all three of us are independent.
Yeah, I'm independent too.
Yeah. Like it's dumb to align yourself with a political party, in my opinion.
Well, I think so too, you know.
Yeah.
On both sides, it's like, man, all of you are fucking maniacs. Anyway.
Yeah, man. I think a lot of great memories. A lot of we were heavy on the prospects for sure.
Yeah.
And then it's really started to. I wanted to ask you, Ashley. Did you ever care about where we ranked in the blog talk or any of that, or for you was it just like I'm just going to come on to talk boxing?
That's it. That's the whole point, was to be able to talk about the sport of boxing with others who know the sport of boxing. You know, since that time until now, boxing has been trending. You know, from that time till now, pay-per-views have. I mean, a good pay-per-view was 300,000 buys back then.
Oh yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Eric Morales pay-per-view, 300-something thousand buys. That was considered a good pay-per-view. You know what I'm saying? And from then you got Floyd and Pacquiao who blew and fucking Cotto and Canelo who blew the numbers through the roof. You know what I'm saying? And we have a whole new variety of fans that flooded into the sport. Casuals nonetheless, but you know, they are into the sport and a lot of them are learning. So, you know, a lot has changed from then until now, but at the time it was just to get on and talk boxing with the crew who we were already on the internet trading videos and commenting to each other's videos. This was real-time action. So that's what it was all about to me. It kind of got more difficult, you know, as I was had to tend to my kids were babies at that time, and you know my wife was being overwhelmed, and I had to help out a lot. So it just got real hectic around the house. But from when it first began, that's what it was all about for me. Just to talk.
And I always got that sense. And shout out to Sino for the love, man. He says, "Love the old show." Says Carcino. Absolutely. Crew. I'm sorry. Yeah. For sure. Look,
what's good?
Because that's the sense that I actually like. Yeah, definitely. Garcino was definitely one of the old school dudes for sure. Still around today, bro. Like he's on the inside of everything.
Yeah.
Like that dude's like he's like talking to hip hop artists and all this other stuff.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, he's
his own TMZ. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. There you go. He's doing his thing. So shout out to Garcino for life. I always get that sense, man. Ashley just wants to come talk boxing, and that's how I am now that I'm older, you know. But I was competitive, bro. Like I wanted to like beat everybody. I wanted to be on top of the rankings, and I wanted to beat Leaving the Ring and On the Grind. And it wasn't really beef. It's just I wanted to be number one. Like, you know what I mean? I
Yeah,
wanted to be
yeah,
number one. And I remember, and people could tell you this, I would get frustrated because when we would finally beat Leaving the Ring in the Block Talk rankings, like On the Grind was beating us, you know? And we would finally beat On the Grind, and like Leaving the Ring would beat us. It was like a constant thing. And we were definitely, I would say I was obsessed with it. I was obsessed with being number one.
We got there though.
Yeah, we got there. Let's talk about how we got there. So
We got there for we were there for a couple of weeks.
Carcino got an interview with Floyd, like an audio recording. Do you remember that, Ash?
yeah. I do.
And I remember when Beep told me, I didn't even believe him. I said, he didn't get an interview with Floyd. Get the fuck out of here. Carcino didn't get an interview with Floyd. Like it's probably like he probably like recorded it like an existing video, and then I heard it. I'm like, this is an interview with Floyd.
Yeah,
This Carcino.
Carcino had contacts with Leonard Ellaby and Nate Jones. So yeah.
Nate Jones. That was another great.
You got us Nate Jones. Yeah, that was a good interview.
Remember when Nate Jones told the story that Floyd wakes up? Have you had a dream about losing a fight?
Wake up in the morning.
Or did he wake up crying or wake up and go exercise? I forget.
Wake up. Wake up.
I thought he wake up in tears. I forgot. My bad.
Yeah, he's like, I lost a fight in my dreams. He would go hit.
Man.
He was obsessed with winning, you know?
Yeah.
So, like, even I lost in my dreams. Shit, I'm gonna go hit the heavy bag right now. Who does that? But Floyd did, you know. So when that interview happened, I had completely forgot about this. But me and Beef had a show on Robodo Radio on Monday, and then there was a Wednesday show, right? And I guess Beef had a hold of this Carcino interview with Floyd Mayweather on a Monday, right? Or maybe before Monday. Did you have it before Monday, Joe?
Probably, I think, yeah. Maybe a day. Maybe I think I got it a couple of days before. Maybe.
Okay. So I remember, like,
maybe a day or two before.
I was like, I don't want to wait till Wednesday to play this interview. We got this Floyd interview. Wait till Wednesday.
Yeah,
and like I told you, I was.
You talked me into it. You talked me into it.
Yeah, I was obsessed with being number one, and I'm like, if it's gonna be on Rope-A-Dope, we're all Rope-A-Dope, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's all a Rope-A-Dope team.
Yeah.
You know, why not? And Afro Rican G, I appreciate the support, bro. He says, salute to everybody on the panel. Absolutely. Thank you for your support.
I was gonna sit on that till Wednesday, and you kind of like you kind of put a battery in my back. You're like,
well, I mean, it didn't take much. It's not like you were like fighting me about it.
No. I was like, okay, let's do it.
So we play the interview, and it's a hit. Like I couldn't believe how many. I shouldn't have been shocked that it's Floyd. You know, and Floyd was hot at the time. You know,
right.
An interview with Floyd today.
Yeah, stay hot for a long time.
Yeah. So we play the interview, and Carcino tells me this morning that Ben Thompson was mad about it, and like people were just pissed off about it, I guess. But overall, people were tuning in. It was a hit show, and we were number one in not just sports, but all of Block Talk, right? Because of this damn interview, you know. And I'm excited. Beeb's excited. Hey, you know what I mean? This is great. I'm thinking in my mind, this is awesome, right? Now, Wednesday comes around. From my vantage point, Chris plays part of it again on Wednesday, and or all of it. I don't remember what he played.
He played it again. Yeah.
Played it again.
I don't know why.
But I remember, Joe. What happened there? Well, what was the issue as far as us playing it on Monday?
I guess Chris wanted it to be on Wednesday's show.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
I think that was the. I don't want to say the beginning of the end, but I do remember now thinking, what's the big deal? Like, I thought we're all a team. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I felt as though that we were basically, like I said, a crew, and we had a variety of different shows, and we were basically a network. Like Rope-A-Dope Radio was like a radio station to me, with different shows, just like Hot 97 has different shows.
Mhm.
Power 105 has different shows.
Yeah.
I thought we had different shows. But if Chris wanted it on the Wednesday show, I understand if that's what he wanted. I mean, maybe he wanted to release it on the Wednesday show. Maybe he thought the Wednesday show was the flagship show of the network or whatever, and that's where he felt the interview should have been.
Yeah. I
That's
mean, to
just,
me, it was,
I don't have a problem with him having that opinion, but even though
well,
I disagree with it slightly, but it's not a big deal that he had that opinion.
yeah, it's not a big deal anymore, but I think there was a little bit of a rift back then. Um, because actually, I wanted to ask you really quick. Did you notice, like, from your vantage point, because all you're doing is calling in on Wednesday, talking boxing. That's all you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not part of all this stuff going on.
Yeah.
And did you notice, though, like, was it something you noticed, like, D-Style's gone and these other guys, like, people were just leaving? We were just kind of disappearing?
I don't know if I remember, but knowing how I am, I probably was just calling it and talking boxing.
Yeah.
I don't remember if anybody briefed me ahead of time or anything like that. I just don't recall.
So you weren't aware of any of internal conflicts going on?
I kind of remember that there was conflict, but I probably didn't know the severity of it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I guess over time, everybody had their own issues with somebody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I know I've had a few issues. You know what I'm saying? So, and nobody's perfect. We're men. We work through it, and we move on.
All right. Well, Beeb, what do you remember about that?
I maybe thought that I got the impression that maybe Chris thought that we were kind of backdooring him when we did that. I don't think he was happy with it. He seemed kind of upset with it, and obviously it was a difference of opinion. It was, like I said, he thought that Wednesday show was the flagship show, and we thought that we could have multiple successful shows on that network, not just one. And we always felt like expanding, getting bigger, kind of being better, because the more quality shows you have on the network, the stronger the network is.
Right.
That's how we felt about it. But Chris was upset about it, and I can't say that he was unjustified in being upset about it, because we had a vision that was a little bit different than his vision, and I know you're going to touch on that. I know you have some points you want to bring up about that.
I mean, just briefly. Look, just briefly, because I do want to also talk about that Paulie Malignaggi story. But look, to me, the way I saw it was, and look, obviously Chris isn't here to give his side of the story. You know what I mean? So I don't want to put too much baggage on here. But all I will say is, this is how I felt. I felt like, to him, Robodope Radio was the Wednesday show, and everything else was extra. You know what I mean? To me, I saw Robodope Radio as a network, because
that's why I saw it.
That's how I saw it. You know what I mean? And I think that's where there was a kind of a confusion, I think. But because that was when, and Carcino just said it, he wasn't happy. So, which is fine. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, to me, that's when I started feeling like, why am I doing this fantasy boxing and writing all these articles on the website and contributing all this time if it's not going to be seen as equal to the Wednesday show, like the Monday show? You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't want it to be better than the Wednesday show. I just want it to be equal. That's what I was wanting, because that was the day I was free. That's the day I could do a show. I think me and Beeb had a really good show on Monday, and when I got word that he wasn't happy about it being played on Monday, it just made me feel like, dude, Well, what about when I got you Al Bernstein? You know, what about when I was with that publicist for a whole day so we could get Andre Jarrell on, which I'm going to ask you about a little bit, Ashley. What about all those things, you know, because it's
Yeah.
what about the effort I put in? It's, I just want the show to be equal because we're all a team, you know, that's all.
Yeah.
That's the way I saw it, you know, but I know this, everyone has their own perception of things. And that's all I remember about it, you know, but me feeling that way eventually, you know, when what happened in the end happened, it wasn't that hard for me to leave, you know. So that's just the way it is.
Well, you were kind of dropping hints that you were going to leave anyways, and it honestly wasn't a surprise to me that you left. You know, I had mixed emotions about you leaving because I wanted you to go where you were going to be happy, and I always knew that I would still be in. You know, we always kept in touch. We always talked. I even called into that show that you went to. So
Right.
there was really no hard feelings. You know, we've had disagreements, but we would always be upfront with each other and talk things out. We never let things just drag on without addressing it.
Yeah.
That was the great thing you and I had. We always had you had a problem with me one time, I had a problem with you, but we always talked it out. We never just let it, well, I'm not going to talk to you for 10 weeks and then all of a sudden, hey, let's work it out. We usually squash shit right away.
Absolutely.
We got an argument. You hung up the phone on me one time, and literally you called me back in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Literally. That's just the relationship we always had.
Yeah. I mean, look, this is how bad I wanted to like rope a dope to be successful. Okay. There was, I'm not going to say the name. We're going to call her CM. Okay. But she told me that she was working with Andre Durrell. So I said, hey, can he come on Rope a Dope Radio? Right. They just, you know, let's do it. Usually it's either a yes or a no, right? It's not like, you know, but I got like a yes, but, and
those are always the worst ones.
You know, she wanted to script the whole interview.
Oh, that's horrible.
So I told her, like, we're not going to script it. Okay. The compromise in the end was, we'll give you the questions ahead of time. That was a compromise. That wasn't even like what she asked for. She wanted more. You know what I mean? Like literally, it went like this. You're gonna ask this, and then maybe you could have one of the co-hosts go like, "Oh, wow, that's interesting." Like,
wow,
I'm not gonna put words in some dudes. Like, I'm not gonna. Hey, Ashley. So when Beeb asks this, make sure you say this. Like, no,
don't forget your line.
Yeah, don't forget your line. So the compromise was, we'll give you the questions. The one thing, and what the interview almost didn't happen after going through, even after compromising to that. Okay, because I drew the line on, we're going to ask him why he pulled out of Super 6. You know what I mean? Like, it's the way it is. Like, I don't know who's going to ask him, but someone's going to ask him that. No, I don't know. We should bring that up. You know, that's water under the bridge. I'm like, no, it's not. That's what people want us to ask. And I remember the question was worded, I don't know if you remember, B, but it was worded something like, are you surprised that the fans...
I asked him a question. Like, I think I asked him a question. Could you understand why the fans feel the way they feel? And I think I kind of I didn't intentionally try to trap him, but he almost kind of told on himself. Like, you know, he goes, I can understand how it doesn't look great. So he's basically saying it doesn't look great. So it's almost somewhat of an admission to, you know, there could be something shady going on here.
That was the compromise. Okay.
Yeah.
So I remember, look, I already knew is that I remember I called Chris and I said, hey, has anybody told Ashley that we have to give these questions ahead of time? And I know you weren't on board. You remember that?
Yeah, I remember like yesterday. Once I was told that you had to submit the questions ahead of time, I was like, fuck that shit. I don't want no part of it. You know what I'm saying? Because it's not authentic, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fake dude. I'm not doing no fake fucking interviews. I'd rather not even be on the goddamn show. You
Right.
know, it was a very interesting time in boxing, and I didn't want I didn't want him or whoever that comes on the show to get time to think about their answers. You know what I'm saying, before saying them. You know, I wanted whatever came out to be fresh, and I wanted to be genuine the way he saw it, because we had legit questions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you know, once I found out that was the only way, I was like, nah, I'm not doing it then.
Okay.
So I don't remember. I don't think I was even on the show, or I just didn't enter, or I didn't partake in it.
No, you were on the show, but you just didn't do the interview.
Yeah, I wasn't doing no interview. That's not the question.
Ashley kind of made me feel a little guilty. So that's when. So I asked. I'm not gonna say.
You know why you did it? You did it because I told you, dude. I just spent 6 hours on the phone with this bitch.
Yeah.
No, yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
You did tell me that, but I kind of did ask. I'm not gonna say I grilled them, but I kind of cranked my questions up a little bit because Ashley, you guys had a way of motivating me. All of you, you had a way of lighting a fire under me sometimes, you know. And Ashley was 100% right. He was 100% right.
Yeah, he was.
I mean, there was no. I agree with him 100% on his stance. You know?
I was stuck on. I want this interview so Robodope can get views.
Right. But it was the timing. It was the time, and you know what? You know what made that interview such a novelty?
Yeah.
He wouldn't talk to anybody.
Right.
He wouldn't talk to anybody, and just the fact that we had him. You know what I said to myself too? Yeah, okay. This is how I always do interviews. I always ask the softballs in the beginning, and I make them feel comfortable. Then they let their guard down. Then I kind of ramp up the questions a little bit. You know, make them a little bit harder. Yeah. I don't come out the gate with the hard ones. So the fact that I was able to slip like one or two difficult ones that made him have to scratch his head and think a little bit, that was kind of satisfaction and vindication for me.
Hey, shout out to Mr. Boxing today. He says the first fighter I ever interviewed asked questions was Peter Quillen by a rope of dope. I believe that was around 2011. Shout out to Mr. Boxing today.
Mr. Boxing today. What's
shout
going
out to
on?
Alex, bro. What are you in the gym, bro? You're working out.
Alex.
I just got done one, man. I'm trying to get one in before I have to, between work and putting the kids to sleep. Shout out to y'all, man. Y'all all look good, man. It's good seeing y'all.
Look at him adjusting his shirt, but he wants to show off his guns.
Nobody aged on this panel, man. This is like Captain America getting frozen and coming back.
All
30 years later, baby.
All three of y'all look exactly like y'all did back in 2012.
Right.
Can you believe I'm going to be 51 in December, man?
I can't believe it. Man. I can't believe it.
I'm getting depressed, man.
I don't look exactly the same. I lost a lot of weight, but yeah, I know.
You did.
Yeah, you look younger. Yeah, there you go. That's right. But Calix, what do you remember about being asked to come on I don't remember. How did you get on Robodope Radio?
You asked me. That's like a week into. Yeah, I had just started on YouTube maybe a week, and then and then you reached out to me and said, "Hey, we got a post-fight show on Saturday night."
That's right.
I want to say it was Marquez Vasquez 3, maybe, something like that, and you asked me to come on, and that was it. And then the next day you asked me to come on full time Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday, and I don't remember what. That must have been 2010, and I probably did the Monday, Wednesday show for about maybe a year and a half, and then I stayed on the post-fight shows for a while, and then the whole fantasy boxing thing took off, and then I started doing my own thing on the side and having work and starting a family and all this stuff, so I ended up branching off of Robodope Radio, but then I had my own thing, and then you came over to Hailstorm, and we had our own, we had a show every single night on Hailstorm, and we had our own network. So you ended up coming over there and bringing fantasy boxing over there and everything. So, and the post-fight shows went over there too. So, but it was a good start, man. My favorite memory from, as far as interviews,
I know what it is. I know
Mickey Ward.
Yeah.
Okay. Mickey Ward, because I think Beeb reached out to me the night before and was like, "Hey, we got Mickey Ward coming on," and the fighter was coming out that week. That was Thanksgiving weekend.
Yeah. And
the interview was Wednesday night, so that ended up being the biggest movie for like a month in the world. And so we had him on Wednesday night, and literally the movie was dropping at midnight that night on Thanksgiving. So we had like the last interview before the fight went before the movie went live. So that was a big thing. That was a big thing for me because Gotti Ward. That as a boxing fan, that was huge to me. So I got to ask him questions about Arturo Gotti, who was my favorite fighter of all time, and just be able to pick his brain about that. So that was a great interview. Another great interview was I don't know if y'all talked about this yet, but about y'all's favorite interviews, but Paulie Malignaggi. When
we talked about it.
That whole thing about it was something with Lou DiBella. I don't know how that started. And then I asked him about what's his name? Okay, and then I asked him about Devin Alexander, and that's
it was that. Yeah, okay.
Because Devin Alexander, the whole thing started when Devin Alexander called them trash in a Ellie Seckback interview. Yeah, he called them trash, or a bum. Yeah, that's what it was, a bum. And he went off for like a half hour without anybody even asking him about Lou DiBella. And then I had the nerve to ask him about Devin Alexander right after that, and he went on for like 15 more minutes about that. So that was a funny interview.
Were you there for the Andre Durrell interview?
No, that was a sour subject with me because I had a run-in with that particular female like a week before that. So I opted. I opted out of that interview, and didn't like how that interview went down. That was my only sore subject with that, and I've always had a good relationship with everybody. But for me, with Rope-A-Dope, how I got off on Monday and Wednesday was, like I said, just stuff taking over my life. I like talking boxing with everybody. I did it as much as possible, but so many things were coming on. I couldn't do 3 nights a week anymore, so I just went to the post-fight shows because that was always my favorite. To me, the post-fight shows were the greatest thing because people would call in infuriated with their favorite fighters losing, and they would just go off. And I remember the switchboard just lighting up. I remember hosting it a couple of times and having like 60 people waiting to talk about it, and they would just go off on people, and people would yell at each other, and you would have all kind of race wars and all kind of stuff. I was like, man, calm down.
And that was the good thing about that show too, because we used to take turns hosting it, and everyone would like, I used to like host the beginning, and I wanted you guys to see how hard that switchboard was to operate when there was like 20, 30 people lining up in there. Let you guys handle that, man. That's a job in itself, man.
That post-fight show used to get ugly. It used to get ugly, but that was my favorite part. Is because
sometimes it got ugly with us. Like I remember, I feel different about it now. But what I loved about it was, you know how you feel different about something right after it happens compared to when you reflect. You know.
Yes.
After Floyd Victor Ortiz, I was pissed off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, me too.
I went off on that show talking about Victor Ortiz.
Well, I was on the opposite, actually.
Me too.
That show started like it literally started like this. I go, thanks for tuning in to Rope-A-Dope Radio Post Fight Show, and then I go, Beef, I can't believe you're not pissed off because I had already talked to him. I can't believe you're not pissed off. Like me, I'm fucking pissed off right now because I was pissed off.
That was the post-fight show, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I don't remember doing it. I think I did the following the Wednesday.
You did, because I remember that.
By then, like I calmed down. I was already on that same boat. You know what I mean? But I was mad. I was in a house full of people, and they all felt ripped off.
I loved it. I thought it was like the classic heel move, and I was like digging. I kept like digging you guys. Yeah, man, that's what it's about, baby. It's boxing.
That's how it is. Gotta have your game face on, goddammit.
And I remember
I said, this ain't hopscotch. I said, this ain't hopscotch, man.
We were mad at you that night, and then a bunch of people were mad at you. But then you think about it, and you're like, man, B was right. If a dude headbutts me for no reason and then stands there and the referee walks away, I punch him too.
Well, hold on, Alex. He hugged him like 2 times, kissed him in the cheek, twice, I think. They had already touched gloves. But
Ortiz is a head case, man.
In the emotion, I didn't remember all those details. I just remember he hit him. And I'm like, what
Why
the fuck?
why would he put his fucking hands up? I mean, the referee was Cortez, right?
Yeah, it was Cortez.
The timekeeper, go ahead and resume time, and next thing you know, boom.
And we were mad at Cortez more than we were at Ortiz, me and D-Star, but then
how many times can you tell somebody you're sorry, man?
It's a fight.
How many times? How many times you're gonna hug him? How many times you're gonna kiss him?
Right.
I thought he was getting ready to give him a reach around at some point. It just was like never ending.
Yeah.
But to me, that's the beauty of the post-fight show was you got the raw emotion. So I have my most regrettable moments, I think, were on the post-fight shows. But to me, that's the beauty of it is you get the emotion of it, of what happens right after the fight. You don't get the chance to mull things over. You go right on right after the fight because we would, as soon as that fight ended, we were on because we wanted to get the hits. And that was the beauty of that show is you got the raw emotion. But I said a lot of things on those shows that were probably wrong because of that emotion.
Remember that Pacquiao Marquez third fight, and you were like telling me, Beep, how could you pick Marquez, Beep? And then afterwards you're like, Beep, you tried to walk me off that ledge. I didn't listen to you because even you, huge Pacquiao fan, you thought
Marquez won that fight, bro.
You thought that Pacquiao lost that third fight too.
Yeah. I
called Calix immediately after that fight because you know what? You ever watch a fight and you wonder if it's just you? Yeah. You know what I mean? Like it's just me. Like I thought he clearly outboxed him. Like, so I called Calix. Calix like, man, that was bullshit, man.
And then you remember it was this might have been by Hailstorm at that point, but it was the Pacquiao Bradley, the first fight. Me and you were like, wait, did we see something different? Because that seemed like a close fight to me. Because everybody else had that a wide decision. But
I think it was Beeb that felt he won too.
Yeah, so I had him winning that fight, Bradley. I had Bradley winning that fight, 115 to 113.
Yeah, I think I did too.
And
I caught a lot of hell on my channel for that.
Oh my God!
Who did you have winning that fight? Pacquiao, Bradley.
I think I had Pacquiao winning. Don't quote me on that, but I think I had Pacquiao.
I had it 7-5 Pacquiao. So even before I heard Calix and Beep say anything, I was still kind of like, man, what fight did HBO watch? You know what I mean? Like
he scored that fight 11 rounds to 1.
Who?
Yeah. HBO.
Harold Letterman.
Oh God.
There was something about him with Pacquiao. Like Pacquiao could be fighting. Pacquiao could be fighting Godzilla and King Kong at the same time, and he would have Pacquiao winning the rounds.
Hey, shout out to Blood Boxing, bro. We did the last 2 throwbacks.
In the building. Old school.
Hey, is Carcino on there? I thought I heard y'all say Carcino's on there.
Yeah, Carcino's on there.
Carcino on there. Yeah, for sure.
Carcino, hey, back in the day, he started that whole Uvu movement. Remember that?
Yeah.
Everybody linking up on Boxing Socialist.
That might have been Sean. I don't know if it was Carcino and Sean or just Carcino, but
I think it was Carcino and Sean that did that.
That's how I met Mr. Boxing Today too. Was through Carcino. I met a lot of people through Carcino.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Sean personally, so when him and Carcino got Boxing Socialist going, Carcino blew it up though.
Yeah,
when they had the old format. The old format was the best format they had. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you blew it up. You know what I'm saying? Because Floyd used to retweet it. So they used to get like crazy fucking hits. Yeah.
Oh, you know what? We had the player on there. We had the Blog Talk Radio. The Rope-a-Dope was on Boxing Socialist.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
You know, so I remember sometimes be like, damn, we're getting a lot of hits. It was probably when Floyd was retweeting the damn.
We put that player. We put that player everywhere, man. We put on all our articles and stuff. We put that player everywhere.
Yeah. Blood Uvu. I actually want to do a throwback Uvu. You know what I mean? Like Uvu's not really around anymore, but I do want to do a throwback Uvu. And then next Thursday, I'm going to be doing a throwback for 916 Chris. Actually, so
shout out to 916 Chris, man. One of the most genuine dudes I've met on here. Really, and I don't say that because he passed on, but Science of Violence was great when we pulled him over. He had his own show, and then we pulled him over to Hailstorm on Sunday nights, and he had his blog that he did every Sunday night, Monday morning as well. The Good, the Bad, the Ugly, and just a great guy altogether.
Yeah,
that was That was the best name ever, Silence of Violence. I love that name.
Yeah.
It's actually a really good name, yeah.
Yeah.
I've always told people if someone uses that name, I'm gonna call them out for it.
I can't. I want to use it, but I would never do it out of respect
Yeah.
to 916 Chris. I would never
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah. Hey, so I want to talk about why I left. All right. Before we get to the to boxing topics, I want to get to, and it's fitting that Calix is here, right? Hey, Calix, remember we did that? You guys were doing like a podcast wars, and we did that debate whether or not Lennox Lewis is a top 5 heavyweight of all time. Remember that?
Yeah.
It.
Besides winning the debate, do you remember everything else that happened after that?
So you just cut off. Say that again. I'm trying to get my phone.
Yeah.
Say
So
it again.
besides me winning the debate, do you remember anything else about that?
You won the debate. What did you argue? Did you argue he's top 5?
Lennox is a top 5. Yeah, I think he is. But.
Yeah, I still don't think you won that. You're a great debater because I think this was circa 2014, 15 when you came on my channel, or it was on your channel. And you beat me in the whole pound for pound debate, and really changed my mind on that. I gotta admit, you changed my mind on that because I do my own pound for pound rankings in my head now. But as far as Lennox Lewis, I completely disagree with you. He is not a top 5 heavyweight. So if you're saying you won that, maybe you out debated me. I don't know, but he's still not a top 5.
Well, here's what I wanted to say. So we had done that, and just to get clarification, because I always say it, that was a joint venture. That was like it was Rope-A-Dope and Hellstorm. You know what I mean?
Right.
And we even introduced it that way. Now, look, I fucked up, okay, because I didn't tell Beeb or Chris. I didn't tell them that I was going to upload it. You know what I mean? Because for what I didn't feel I had to, right? But I should have. You know what I mean? So I uploaded it on the player on Rope-A-Dope. You know, and I remember being so excited, and I texted you and hailed, hey, it's up now, and I think this is going to be a good start to this, and we could do more in the future.
Right.
I wake up the next morning, and it's not on the player, right?
I don't know this whole story, so this is all new to me.
I'll tell you right now. I said, what the hell's going on here? Well, why did they take it off? I text Beeb, what happened to the at first I thought it was going to like, because I was thinking maybe I didn't upload it right. Oh, I removed it. Like, what? I was so pissed off that my next text was, I'm done.
I'm done.
That's how pissed off I was.
But I knew.
So that's how you ended up coming over there?
Like, in my mind, it was like, I'm doing a fantasy boxing, which took time. I'm writing articles. I'm doing transcripts because we'll do transcripts and send them to Phil Boxing, right? Because we'll get hits like that too, but that's a different story. And we would do that. That's how I felt. And then a couple days later, I get a call from Chris, but I had already gone on Hellstorm because you remember I texted you and I said I'm done with Rope-A-Dope.
Yeah, and I remember that doing a show on Hellstorm on boxing show on Monday nights, full sports on Tuesday and Thursday nights. And I was burnt out. So I was like, once you texted me that, I was like, oh, hell yeah, because you could do the boxing show on Monday nights, and then we can bring the post fight, because I wasn't doing post fights on Saturday night out of respect to y'all.
I mean, so I packed my shit. Yeah, like I packed my shit and I went. I wasn't going to really go anywhere, but Hale called me to ask me to go to Hailstorm. And I was like, yeah, fuck it. I'm going to I took fantasy boxing. I did a post-fight show and I did my own boxing show on Hailstorm Sports. And that's why I left. You know what I mean? That's pretty much the story. I know it probably caught Chris off guard, but B, what was the decision to take it down? I mean, he was in the decision too, right? It's not like.
When him and I talked, we knew you were leaving. You know what I'm saying? And the way we looked at it was that was kind of like a parting shot.
It honestly wasn't.
And I believe you.
Yeah.
I believe you. But we looked at that as a parting shot, and we're sitting there saying to ourselves, well, if he's leaving, why would we promote his other show? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I was laughing because Chris was upset. He says I was upset. I honestly don't remember being upset. I remember laughing like this sneaky motherfucker. He he's leaving, and he thinks, and then he wants to put the show on our player to try to, as a parting shot, number one, and number two, he wants to like get free advertisement, but he's leaving us. That would be like me working for a company and leaving and saying, "Hey, can I keep the company credit card in the car on the way out? Do I have to return it? Do I have to return it?
I see where you're coming from. I honestly,
I was laughing at you because I'm like, this motherfucker.
He's right here. Like there was no conversation with me going to Hailstorm until I left Robodo. You know what I mean?
But then if you remember, shortly after that, we were talking. I was calling into the Hailstorm show. I wanted you to go where you felt. I knew you weren't happy for about 2 months before you left.
Yeah. I mean,
and I saw
it. Around that time, you were helping me out with remember you were helping me out with CalixSports.com.
Yeah, I helped you with the web. I helped you put the website together.
You were doing all my back office.
Yeah, I was helping you out the website. So the thing was I had mixed emotions about you leaving because first of all, the work schedule, you weren't able to do the shows all the time because of your work schedule. So because the place where you're going with Hailstorm, he did shows like every day. You were always going to get a slot, no matter what. So you had a more flexible schedule with them. You know what I mean? And you couldn't commit to like to the Wednesday show or whatever, the Monday show, whatever. And you weren't happy. You didn't like the direction we were going in. You thought we could have done things differently. You know, we've had all these conversations. We've had all these conversations before, and I just wanted you to go where you were going to be happy.
Yeah, like when I went to Hailstorm, it did feel like, well, I mean, because it was a network, and I have my own show now. And then I did it with Alex for a little bit, and then I did it with Raging Babe for a little bit. Before Michelle Rosado was like a promoter, a small-time promoter in Philadelphia, she was doing a show with me. You know what I mean? I remember that. And then, but you know, it is what it is. Hey, Ashley's over here like I wasn't part of any of this drama.
Yeah, I don't know. All way over my head. So
I was just calling in to talk boxing.
That's
it. And honestly, I didn't even know about all that stuff. I just remember.
You know why you didn't know? You know why you didn't know about it?
I was like,
you know why you didn't know about it? Because honestly, I didn't think it was a big deal, and I didn't want to make it a big deal. I didn't want anyone to know that there was any animosity. Yeah. There was any bad feelings. I didn't want anyone to know that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what it is. You know, I left. Everyone kind of had their personal reasons. You know, I know Ashley said he got busy and stuff. Life happens. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got busy with the kids.
It was tough. It was tough doing those. And I have a lot of respect for everybody that did that, man. That was great because I would have never been able to interview a Mickey Ward or a Zab Judah or anybody like that other than Robodope.
I forgot about Zab.
For that. Yeah, Zab was on there too. Man, we had
Zab tried to tell Beeb he was a junior middleweight champion, IBC. Remember that?
Yeah, what was that you interviewed? Say it again.
No, well, Beeb, what did Zab tell you? He like corrected you when you were like giving him props.
I said he was a 3-weight world champion or something like. No, he was a junior welterweight, and I said he was a 2-weight world champion. And he goes, you got to correct yourself, brother. I'm a 3-weight world champion. I got the IBC junior.
Oh shit!
I remember that.
It was a point I used to make a long time ago that, you know, while we don't like the endless amount of belts, the fighters love the belts, man. They just do.
And I wasn't gonna take that away from him. He won that belt.
I guess he won that. I ain't gonna count the IBC. Get the fuck out of here.
James Tony used to carry the IBA heavyweight title. Remember that? James Tony.
Hey, Adrian.
Go ahead, Alex.
Adrian Broner has titles in like 9 different. Adrian Broner has titles in like 9 different divisions. So yeah, they love the belts.
Yeah, they love the belts.
They love the belts.
I guess so. Well, and like IBC is not even IBO level. Like, I mean, what are we doing? You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
shit, I don't know. Well, look, we all kind of went our own ways in a way. I mean, Joe Beeb's doing the podcast with Ringside Reporter. Ash has got mandatory-defense.com, and I know Kobe kind of put a halt to it. We
Yeah.
were going to Puncher's Chance on Tuesday. Calix has his channel and doing his thing. You know what I mean? Are you planning to come back, Calix, or are you kind of like taking a long break?
You know me, I'm around when the fights are around. So to me, since coronavirus, I haven't dropped a video since what was it,
Yeah.
Fury Wilder 2. Everything went to hell after that. So whenever these fights come back, I'm hearing the fights being made in November. Some good fights. Errol Spence Jr., Danny Garcia. I think Terrence Crawford and Pacquiao might get into it. So once these fights come back, man, I'll be back.
Right.
Absolutely, and shout out to Chris. I mean, he's still doing the Rope Dope Radio thing. You know what I mean? He's still doing it on Wednesdays.
Right? He kept it going. Much respect. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he's still doing his thing. So shout out to him. You guys should tune in on Wednesdays for that. Had some questions for Chris. He couldn't make it, but it's all right. You know what I mean? And blood boxing, and that's what these are about, man. It's a lot of people don't know the history of a lot of this YouTube, YTBC, Block Talk, and believe it or not, people are eating it up, bro. Like people are really into these stories. But shout out to Blood. He wants everybody to link back up, and I think a lot of the old guard, why not? Come back.
And why the YTBC back then, man, and I came in probably in the second wave, right? Because when did this all start? 2006, 2007. I popped up. I think that was January of 2010. Probably a little after y'all.
Yeah.
And I just loved the vibe of it back then because it took a lot more work to drop a video, right? Because you couldn't just, there were no smartphones. You couldn't just pop, drop videos like that. You were lucky to get one a day, and you'd take hour or two to upload it or whatever. So the content had to be there, and the hits were there too because there were less guys out there. But I felt the dialogue was better because my issue with the YTBC right now is a lot of the stuff I say gets twisted. I know that. I know y'all have the same experiences, and people run with it. And I see videos of me, and I leave it alone, of saying stuff about me that I didn't say and attributing viewpoints to me that shouldn't be attributed to me. And I feel like that's what the YTBC is too much right now. I love that people are dialoguing. I love that there's a lot of content out there. But I just feel like with so much content out there and so many viewpoints and so many guys in it now to where it's watered down, I feel like a lot of stuff gets drowned out and stuff that we say gets taken out of context. And I don't know if y'all have these same issues with y'all's videos. I'm pretty sure you do, but I don't know, man. I don't like where it's gone, and I don't like the whole cancel culture thing bothers me, and the whole PC thing. I think we need to keep it out of our sport, far, far, far away from our sport. I like the fact that Devin Haney can come on here and say that he'll never lose to a white boy. I grew up with that. I grew up in a black neighborhood. I grew up with that stuff. I like the fact that Ellie Seckback can go into a gym and interview these guys, get them in front of the camera, and they can say whatever they want and feel comfortable because that's our sport. That's boxing. All right. It's not one of the three major sports where guys have to button up for an interview and be politically correct. So I just want to keep this PC cancel culture stuff out of our sport, out of our community here. And I feel like it's gotten to that to where if you say something that somebody just slightly disagrees with, they're coming for you. They're coming for you. I don't know if y'all see the same thing as I do.
Bro, let me tell you something. In the old school YTBC, dude, it was so much racism going on in the comment section. I remember somebody talked about Beeb's mom because he had a picture of his mom.
Oh shit! You remember that?
Yeah, I remember that. I mean, it was. There was never been a time where you wasn't catching heat from people who viewed your videos. Yeah. You just kind of take the good with the bad, put them out. True. So
wow, you remember that? Damn,
yeah,
that was crazy.
That's true. You gotta have thick skin.
There's a video out right now of a dude saying that I'm a pedophile. Okay. Now, shit's already been reported to police, by the way. Okay. So I don't play those games. Right. But yeah, there's definitely people
That's
that
what
put
I'm
words
saying,
in your
though.
mouth.
I just feel like the difference is, all right, back in the day, you had all that stuff. There's no doubt. But I just felt like you could filter it, or you could just laugh it off. Now, like I'm saying, dudes will try to look up your address. They'll try to look you up on Facebook, Instagram, get all your information to where I started this thing as Calix Boxing. My last name is right there, Calix Boxing. Now I'm run up the score 21 because I felt the need to change my name. I can't have my government name on here anymore because if I say anything slightly, that's the difference in the environment now. Is I felt like back in 2010, 2012, even 2014, dudes weren't coming for you. They would come for you in the YouTube section, but it would stop there. Now it's a different ball game.
The world has changed a lot. The world has changed a lot in 10 years, bro.
Like I remember, look. I mean, I'm not with that employer anymore, but like I remember, because there's boxing banter on here. You know what I mean? So I'll cuss somebody out or something, and I remember Joe Abib. He was talking about the employer I work with on Rinks, and he didn't mean anything. He was just kind of trying to like give a source on how I know certain things. And I remember texting you, being like, "Yeah, don't tell people where I work." You know what I mean? Like, don't, like, because who knows, like, what I've said on the internet in the last 10 years, bro. Okay, I've dropped F-bombs for sure. You know what I mean? Towards people I don't like. Yeah, man. Hey, I wanted to go ahead and get to some quick current events in the sport. And Calix, you talked about cancel culture, and I'd like to start it with you here. Paulie Malignaggi was recently released from Showtime Boxing. Okay, they recently let him go. I'm going to tell you right I agree with the decision. I don't know how you feel about it, but what do you think?
I don't, and like I said, I want to keep all that stuff out of our sport. And first of all, I think Paulie Malignaggi's and I'm not a huge fan, but I am a fan of him as a color commentator. I think we would all agree with that. I think he's one of the best in boxing as far as breaking down a fight as the fight goes on. You might disagree with that. I don't know. But I just think that people should be allowed to give their opinions. Like I said, and I was going to drop a video about this when Devin Haney said the original stuff because I had no issue with it. Like, I just feel like you should be able to say stuff like that. Like you feel like you never lose to a white dude. As dumb as that might sound to people, I think that's the competitive nature of it. Like, let's go with it. Let's build boxing. We promote Puerto Ricans versus Mexicans and all this stuff, black versus white, and we act like we don't do it. I mean, but we do it, and I had no issue with it. And Bernard Hopkins versus Joe Calzaghe. Bernard Hopkins was the original one to do it to Joe Calzaghe and point at him and say, "I'll never lose to a white boy. I'll never lose to a white boy." And then he went to Puerto Rico and threw the flag down and stomped on it. So I think that stuff is good for the sport. I think it's headlines, and I think it's what makes our sport unique. And I listened to the whole Paulie Malignaggi interview. Had no issue with what he said as far as being I don't know what you would call it, insulted, but I would probably disagree with what he said. I don't think Eastern Europeans run boxing. I wouldn't agree with that. I have a lot of respect for a lot of the Eastern Europeans coming up right now, Lomachenko in particular. But when you talk about a guy like Terrence Crawford, and you have a lot of good African American fighters out there. So I don't know. We could debate that, but to me, you don't get rid of a guy for saying that. I don't know. I'm not with the cancel culture, man. I don't think it warranted a suspension, much less a firing. I just don't.
All right. How did you see it, Ashy? How do you feel about Paulie being gone from Showtime?
Well, I'm in agreement about one thing. He definitely can break a fight down, and I thought him doing color commentary was a tremendous step in the right direction. as opposed to somebody who just has a journalist degree and just Chris Mannix just end up sitting ringside, supposedly breaking down what he sees in the ring. We get it from a real fighter's perspective,
Right.
one that's not too long in the tooth, where he thought he saw a jab, but it was actually a hook. We had somebody trying to break down the nuances of the sport in real time to fans whose eyes probably aren't trained to see it, whose eyes whose eyes think, who thinks when they see a guy just throwing a bunch of punches, automatically that guy is supposed to be winning rounds. You know what I'm saying? There are still fans that are out there like that. Paulie was able to separate what they think they're seeing in the ring as opposed to what's going on. And I thought that was a good thing. As far as his take on boxing and boxers, everybody's entitled to their own opinion. Him saying Europeans are ruling boxing, I actually don't even have a problem with that. I've said myself that the Europeans are killing it, and they are killing it in the sport. You know what I'm saying? When you got to give props to where it's due. When guys are winning, they're winning. It doesn't matter. They're getting the job done. My problem is him saying that racism is all in the minds of African Americans in 2020. And that to me, it set off a whole lot of alarms in my head. Like, it's kind of playing on the old saying, "Time heals all wounds." You know what I'm saying? So because we're in this post-racial society, which we know is a bunch of bullshit, and not living in the time frame where it was really, really bad, to say that it doesn't exist anymore, that kind of pissed me off, because that's like saying, okay, I got this brand new truck and I'm gonna run it into the wall over and over till it's barely working, and then I'm not gonna fix it, and then maybe over time I'll buy parts and I'll set it next to the truck, but I'll walk away. If you tell me 30 years from now that truck is automatically supposed to start working just because you bought parts and set it there and time went by, no, that doesn't make the problem stop. You have to actually invest yourself into the problem that you caused. You know what I'm saying? Another thing, I just thought it was a slap in the face, because out of all the non-black fighters out there, I thought for years that Paulie was actually rocking with us. Because I remember us, meaning African Americans, rocking with Paulie when nobody was rocking with Paulie. They call him feather-fisted and boring and a runner. Even before the May Runner title got so famous, they were talking about Paulie. You know what I'm saying? And we rock with Paulie. Paulie got taught how to fight by Cameron the rapper?
Yes.
Cameron's uncle taught Paulie how to fight, if I'm not mistaken. Taught him how to box on the move, taught him how to be slick. Paulie learned hip-hop culture, embedded it in his DNA. When he was young, he was all hip-hop. You know what I'm saying? He was all Brooklyn. You know what I'm saying? And he grew up around black people, kind of like Calix. You know what I'm saying? But Calix is Calix, Paulie is Paulie. And with that skill set, he was taught by black people, and that style that he brought to himself, he was able to amass millions. Now he's not in the sport no more, and it just seems like, well, I don't need those guys no more. I can actually just say what I want to say. You know what I'm saying? So I kind of took it as a slap in the face on that aspect. And my last point is this: to say that systemic racism don't exist. See, Paulie can easily, when he's around us, he can blend with us because he knows the talk, he knows the lingo, he knows the style, he knows the culture. And then when he goes back home, he can be Italian. Or when he's around his people, he can turn hip hop off and turn Italy on. You know what I'm saying? And get in that environment. But us, there is no turning this off. You know what I'm saying? And your interactions with African Americans, that's not African Americans' interactions with everybody else. So until you spend 1 second in this skin, you don't know what we're going through, bro. I don't give a damn if you grew up around black people. You are not black, because unless you are around a black person and you go everywhere in the world with them every day, you don't know what he's going through. You know what I'm saying? And here's an example, because I didn't really want to go off on it on systemic racism, but let's say this. Remember the CIA flooded cocaine. This is really fact. You can Google this. They flooded drugs into the United States. You know what I'm saying? It found its way into the poverty-stricken areas of the United States. The people in those areas got hooked on the dope. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, what did they do? They built more jails and they passed crime bills to put these people in jail for doing dope. You know what I'm saying? And made it look like they're just fucking criminals. You know, fine, it is what it is. But you fast forward 20 years or whatever like that, and there's a new drug epidemic. It's called heroin and opioids. But this time, the people of dark taint are not the ones that are on it. It's whites that are on it, and they're fucking themselves up, and they're killing it. They're killing themselves off of it, and then they're fucking up their families. But this time, they're not building more prisons. You know what I'm saying? They're passing legislation to build more rehab and dedicate more resources so those people can get off the drugs. But back in the day, they were criminals. Throw them away. That's systemic racism. It exists. It ain't going nowhere. It ain't gonna ever go nowhere. You know what I'm saying? And until you recognize that shit, until you get out of yourself and put yourself in place of somebody who lives this shit, or at least have dialogue with somebody who's actually of that race, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Now, in terms of him losing his job, I'm not the employer. You know what I'm saying? I thought he was an asset in terms of boxing commentary. I really do believe that. But I guess you can't just say what the hell you want to say and think there are no consequences and repercussions. You know, there was a guy who was commentating on college football a while ago, and there was a big brawl on the field, and he was talking about guys getting their butt beat. Well, his ass got canned too. So this is not like an anomaly. It's not like a one-time event. You know what I'm saying? When you're a professional, you got to conduct yourself with some type of decorum. And what you say goes to print and it goes to media. You know what I'm saying? So a professional in that aspect, even Paulie, a guy who's been around black people his whole life, if that question pops up and you don't even agree, let's say you don't agree, let's say you think racism is done and it doesn't exist. As a professional, you find a way to bridle your fucking tongue. You know what I'm talking about? And you don't say nothing about it. You know what I'm saying? And the killing part about it is when this racism start rearing its ugly head and it's all over the fucking social media, videos and George Floyd and all like that, you still deny that it exists. And then you got people saying you're making martyrs out of a guy who has a criminal rap sheet. But what did y'all do with your forefathers? The guys who founded this country, they were enslavers, they were rapists, they were killers. And y'all made monuments to them and got mad when people were knocking the statues down. So who's the fucking hypocrite here? You know what I'm saying?
You don't have to go that far, actually. I mean, that Ruth guy, right? You don't have to go that far back. Just recently.
Dylan
shut up the church. I mean, he got a shitload of donations to pay for.
Oh yeah. He got took McDonald's. You got
So how systemic is it? I don't know, but there's definitely a segment of the population that's racist. I mean, anyone who denies that, I'll disagree with that. You know what I mean? So that's the way I feel about it. But Beeb, what do you think about Paulie being gone from Showtime?
The thing that is weird is the comments were made, I think, back. I want to say they were made back in March. So why did it take them so long to make a decision to fire him? And why did they say to him, either you apologize or you're going to get fired? It's just weird how the whole thing went down. His comments were definitely insensitive. I think he said something about Arbery too. He was kind of dismissing that, and that was just in poor taste. But I don't know if his comments would translate into his commentary, but it's up to them what they want to do. I mean, Stephen Espinosa is really wrapped up in politics. If you look at his timeline, he's always tweeting about politics.
You're right.
And he's a very liberal guy.
Yeah.
And I could see how he would have a problem with what Paulie said. But my only concern was, and I think you mentioned this too, why did they wait like what was it, like 3 or 4 months before they did this? What obviously we know what happened with George Floyd and the current environment that anything now what people are doing is they're going, it's almost like they're looking for things that it's like they're doing an audit on the internet to see what you said like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and they're pulling the stuff up. What he said was totally insensitive. It was very insensitive. I don't agree with what he said, but why is he even arguing with fans? Like why are journalists, why are commentators, even Dan Raphael, why do they argue with fans? Why like when you are in a position like that, you have to be professional. You shouldn't be going back and forth with fans. You shouldn't put yourself in situations where you're gonna act like that. Like Dan Raphael sitting there swearing at people on Twitter, calling them names. Meanwhile, you got ESPN after your name. I don't want to change the subject and put it on Dan Raphael, but Paulie should know better because he's in the public eye now. He's on TV. He's on TV. So some things are better left unsaid. I hate this whole thing. Oh, well, I'm just saying, he's being real. He's just saying what he believes and this and that. He's not holding anything back. Okay, but sometimes some things are better left unsaid. You don't have to tell everyone all the time what you're feeling. Like that movie in The Godfather, when the Godfather says to his son, Sonny, he says, never let people know what you're thinking. You don't never expose your true feelings to strangers. Don't tell people what you think. You don't always have to tell people what you're thinking, how you feel about something. Some things you don't have to broadcast. If he believes that, then he believes that. Why would he have to say that? But it was very insensitive to say that because people who have to deal with systemic racism, people who have experienced it, people who have had to go through it, you're basically wiping all that out and saying it never happened to them when they lived through it. So I can see how people would be upset with that, and I would be upset with that. So him himself, who never had to experience anything like that, he's really not an authority on that. So it was very insensitive that he said that, but I'm not so sure that he should be fired over it.
Well, here's my take on it.
But I understand why he was fired over it.
Look, man, it did take a long time. Like you know how I'm feeling? I'm feeling like it's Showtime. Did Showtime fire him because they feel what he did was wrong, so you got to go? Or are they firing him because they feel the backlash? And there's a difference. Like the motive behind why you're doing it. Like I just feel like if they were going to do it, it should have been done sooner. That's how I feel about it. But I'm not. But I'll tell you this: I have no sympathy for Paulie.
He's got to shut his mouth. He's got to shut his mouth.
That's just how I feel about it. I'm not going to lose sleep over it. It is what.
Now, on the flip side, someone could say, "Well, now he just revealed who he truly is."
I mean,
he exposed himself. So I don't know.
Well, I'll tell you, man. I don't
know. I'm sorry. It all started to, I started to get an idea of who Paulie really was when him and Adrian Broner got into it. Because before that, I had no issues with Paulie whatsoever. And even after that, I was like, kind of on the fence. But I loved his commentary. But in that incident when Adrian Broner supposedly knocked down his girlfriend, he lost it. He lost it real bad. And even though he really wasn't saying anything, his family were saying a lot of racist shit, man. You know what I'm saying? So I was like, okay, maybe Paulie is the only one in the family who's not, quote unquote, a racist or a prejudice or whatever. But after so long, you know what I'm saying? How long does it take for him to grow up being around these people all this time before he starts to identify in that aspect? You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm not saying he's racist or anything like that. I'm just saying at that time, his family was making it known how they felt about people who were not I guess, Italian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it all comes around, man. You can only hide who you are for so long. You know what I'm saying? It comes to the forefront, man. The spirit bears witness.
And here's the other reality, man. You're about to do a bunch of pay-per-views with African Americans being featured.
Well,
And I do believe they wanted Paulie to apologize because there's a market there, and they're like, there's a black dollar here, and you need to come out and apologize. That's
Right.
how I
You got to
think
get this money. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Got
so
money.
it was a business decision. Not
Right.
I don't think Showtime made a moral decision. I think they made a business decision.
Yeah, there's going to be backlash. But here's the thing: when you use the word racist, you have to be careful with that, because the true definition of that is, believing one race is superior than the other. Now,
Right.
you could definitely argue, and I'm going to say this: I think he's racially ignorant. I think he's ignorant, to racial issues, and I think he's totally insensitive to racial issues. I think I could say that comfortably, unequivocally. I could say that. But do I believe that he thinks that, white people are superior to black people? I can't say that one unequivocally. But either way, it's like this. It's like sexual assault or rape. They're both bad, but one's worse than the other. So I think he's racially ignorant, and I think he's racially insensitive. And I think he said, you could argue that he may be bigoted to a certain degree too. But I'm not going to sit there and call him a full-blown racist.
Oh. Yeah. Before we get to the next topic, Calix, you have anything you wanted to add?
Nope.
Oh, all right. Gotcha. Well, that's that. Let's do this. Last topic. Spence Garcia.
Wow.
It's official, right? A lot of question marks going into this fight. A lot of them. You know what I mean? But I think there is. Calix is shaking his head. Calix, he was in a car crash where he lost his teeth, bro. Okay. Yeah. He lost teeth, brother. Teeth.
But I understand that, but this is still Spence and it's still Garcia, in my opinion.
But is it though?
Dude, Garcia to me. Garcia to me is probably top 2 or 3 most overvalued fighters in the sport. I think he's super overrated as a gambler, as a guy who bets boxing and college football and looks at odds and looks at value. Garcia is super overvalued. Super overvalued. One-dimensional fighter, one-handed, and Errol Spence is the type of guy. Look, it works for certain fighters. Danny Garcia can look good against certain fighters, but a guy who can box, a guy who can punch, as long as Errol Spence brings his C game, he runs straight through Danny Garcia. I'm telling you, man, Danny Garcia is so overrated. So overrated. Wow. So what big win does he have besides Matisse? And how big was that?
Khan was hot at the time.
Amir Khan. What about Amir Khan? Come on, bro.
Amir Khan was Amir Khan.
Lamar Peterson
has
what
the
Lamar
chin
Peterson?
of a 3-year-old girl, dude.
What Lamar Peterson?
Are we counting that as a win?
Not really, but not really. I had him losing that fight, but
it could have gone either way. It could have gone.
Close. It was close. I had Peterson winning 115 and 113.
Oh, Ashy, how do you see it, man?
Well, I don't think Spence just runs right through him. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still talking about the top of the division of the welterweights, and Danny Garcia has proven that he is a top guy in the welterweight division. He is big, he's strong, he can punch, and he takes a good punch. So he's not going to go in there and just lay down. Now, I do believe that Spence is better in just about almost every category. I think the biggest thing is the fact that Spence is a southpaw and that he protects himself very well, especially when he's in close. Danny Garcia is not the hardest guy to hit, and Spence also hits hard, and he goes to the body. I mean, he digs, and there is not an opening that Danny Garcia is going to present that Spence is not going to take full advantage of. But what Spence are we going to see? I mean, we have no idea how his ailments are going to affect him in the ring. That was a terrible car accident. I mean, the Ferrari flipped over and over and over. He's lucky to even be walking, let alone having a big fight coming up. And he hasn't had a tune-up fight. And, you know, Danny Garcia is a 2-division world champion. Like you said, he knocked off Amir Khan at a time where Amir Khan was hot. Amir Khan was a unified champion at 140. He was pretty damn good at 140. You know what I'm saying? At least before Danny Garcia caught his ass with a fucking left hook from hell. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, Amir Khan had this speed. You know what I'm saying? Just speed. So I think it's a good fight, man. I think if there's anybody who was tailor-made for Errol Spence, it's a guy who will come right at him. It doesn't mean that the outcome is automatically predetermined just because we see these two names on a sheet. That's, you know, who are supposed to fight each other. You know, the ring is what sorts out the facts, and we're going to see what happens on the night of the fight. But I truly believe if Errol Spence is the same fighter that he was prior to the car accident, that he's going to go in there and get the job done and use his what I would call his advantages against Danny Garcia, and that him being a southpaw and him having better defense. And, you know, like I said, I see a big collision. It won't be a whole lot of running in there. I do not think it's going to be similar to Sean Porter versus Errol Spence. I don't think Sean Porter fights anything like Danny Garcia. I think Danny Garcia is a calculated fighter, and he don't go in there just winging shots. Sean Porter brought fucking hell to Errol Spence. Danny Garcia doesn't fight like that. He don't even have that same type of work ethic. You know, he's looking for one big shot a lot of the times. You know what I'm saying? But I'm not saying he don't know how to put his punches together. I'm not saying that at all. But I just think it's an uphill battle. This is not Keith Thurman. It's not a guy who's going to be running around the ring. He's going to come right at you and bring that action right in your wheelhouse and hit you in places in your body that you didn't know exist. And you still going to have to, you know, suck it up and continue fighting. But I think Danny Garcia he's tough enough to at least go the distance, saving that he gets caught with a big fucking shot. I think Errol Spence will win the fight.
Speaking of big shot, look, man.
Spence is a big dude, man. Spence is a big dude, and he has a chin. I just don't see those left hooks.
He is a big. He fought at 152 in the amateur.
I hear you guys. Look, I got Spence too, but I'm not as confident. I'll tell you that, Calix.
Yeah.
I'm not, because look, dude lost teeth, bro. Like he lost his teeth. Like the guy's not like. I remember when I read the reports, like it wasn't that serious. He just lost some teeth. Like, what do you mean? Like it's not like that's serious.
Well, you can lose teeth in the gym, though. You know, it's a lot of fighters that got false teeth. You know what I'm saying? I've seen dudes get their teeth knocked out in sparring. You know, it's real in that ring. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, losing
teeth is part of
the game. You know what I'm saying?
At some point, Danny's gonna hit him with that hook. Okay.
Yeah.
Even if he's getting dominated, he's gonna land a hook on Spence. I don't know how Spence. I just don't know. I don't know how Spence is going to react to that.
It's real hard to land a left hook on a southpaw, though, bro. It's a hard punch to land on a southpaw. You need a right hand to fight a southpaw. That's the problem. That's the problem he's going to run into.
Break it down for us, Beeb. Who do you think's going to win?
Well, first of all, it was said in the chat. Little Jacob mentioned it, and I agree 110%. And that's the key point in this fight. Said Danny Garcia is a mid-range fighter. Danny Garcia is not really effective on the inside at all. We saw when he fought
Wire. It's a hooker, mid-range hooker.
Yeah, that's what Little Jacob called him. But you notice when Danny Garcia fought Matisse, he wrapped him every time Matisse got in close. He wrapped him up and held him and he contained him. Spence is a bigger guy, and he's physically stronger than a Matisse. He's hard to hold and contain because he knows how to slip those body shots up underneath the clinch when you grab him.
Yeah.
So the big problem is going to be the inside game, and the fact that, as Calix said, he is left hand dominant. He doesn't have a huge right hand, and it's hard to land the left hook against a southpaw. It's just a hard punch to land, bro. Because the thing is, you got to get around the lead hand with the hook. It's hard. It's easier. It's easier to land a hook against the orthodox fighter because, again, look at the hand positioning. That space is open. that space is not open anymore. So it's going to be partially blocked. It's hard to land that. So that number one, because he's not a huge right-hand puncher, he's left-hand dominant. That's going to be a problem for him. And also the fact that Spence is a beast on the inside, and he's hard to contain on the inside. When you try to wrap him up, he knows how to fight through clinches. He knows how to slip up underneath clinches. He knows how to get shots off while you're holding him. He's still punching while you're holding him. Okay? So that's going to be a problem. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing is, I was a little bit worried about Spence too with the car accident, going back and forth with it. But I seen him after the car accident. He looks okay. Doesn't seem like there's any residual damage. Psychologically, I don't know if he has any post-traumatic stress because of the accident. I don't know. He seems okay. But it's going to be a long layoff for Spence. Last time he fought was like last November. Danny fought in January, but it was kind of like a tune-up thing. So, Danny's a tough guy. I thought the Sean Porter fight was close. I thought the Keith Thurman fight was close. A lot of people think that the Porter fight with Errol Spence was close. I had that 8-4. Plus, he scored a knockdown. So I had that like 117 and 111. So I thought, or 117, 112, excuse me. I thought, no, 117, 111. I'm sorry. I thought Spence won that fight clearly, even though it was competitive. I thought Porter had some good
fight.
Yeah. I thought he had some good moments, but scoring the rounds, I had Spence winning 8 of those 12 rounds plus the knockdown. So I had him clearly winning the fight. Now, Danny against Thurman and Danny against Porter, I thought those fights were much closer. So style-wise, I just think Danny's is going to be in an uphill battle. I don't think he can deal with Spence on the inside. I don't think he's going to be able to contain him on the inside. And because he doesn't have that right hook, he's going to try to land that left hook. I think it's going to be a problem for him. I think Spence is just going to be able to land that straight left down the middle, and I think he's going to work his way inside. I think he's going to wear him down on the inside. I could see Spence stopping Danny late. I could see Spence stopping Danny late just by breaking him down on the inside.
I just think they're going to get in exchanges, bro, and he's going to catch him with a hook. Like I don't. That's what I think. And I'm going to know then. Like if he takes it, then he's like you said. You make a great point. He's off the southpaw position, so he's going to have small windows to land it as it is. So if he doesn't hurt it the first time, it's more likely going to go Spence's way.
It's gonna be hard to land that punch flush.
But is it going to happen?
We can't say that it's not going to happen.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a 12-round fight. To say he's never going to get hit with the left hook, that would be a stretch. The question is, will he land it clean enough to hurt him and stop him in his tracks?
Yeah,
that's another question that you have to ask. I don't think so.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So I just want to
southpaws before too. So let's not discount that. He fought Guerrero and Zab Judah, so it's not like he never seen southpaw.
And Zab Judah gave him fits.
Yeah, Zab Judah gave him problems.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, you're right. He did give him fits. So, I mean, we're gonna see how that goes. This is a big fight for Garcia, so we know he's gonna come ready, and Spence as well. I mean, Spence, when hasn't he been ready? So great stuff, man. I'm glad you guys, came on. I just want to go around the panel one more time. Just ask you guys one more question. If there's one thing if you could go back in your whole YouTube podcast, whatever it is, related to what you talked about boxing wise, there's one thing you could go back and change or any regrets, anything like that. Beeb, you have any regrets in your time?
I have one big regret. Consistency. I should have never taken long breaks. I should have at least, put out like one video a week. I should have never went on hiatuses because I think it hurt me and it made me miss doing it. And I just think practice makes perfect and just put yourself out there. I think it's always good to put yourself out there because I had momentum at one point, and I think I lost all the momentum because I became complacent and I became inconsistent. So I regret being inconsistent with my content uploads.
I got you. All right. So, Calix, any regrets in your YouTube podcast, whatever,
No, I mean, for me, I'm happy that got to meet so many people from all over the world. I mean, literally from all over the world. I remember meeting dudes on here from Australia and Europe and all kind of stuff. So that's been good. I mean, I never looked at this as far as trying to get a career because I always had my own thing going on. But if I did, it would have been the same thing, staying consistent because running websites, running blogs, doing radio shows took away from on here. And ultimately, this is where I'm still at. And all those other things went away. So I would agree with Deeb on that is if I were to encounter somebody who wanted to do this and ultimately do it full time, because I see a lot of dudes popping off and making some good money on this right now. It seems that way anyway. I don't know what they're really making, but it would be the consistency thing. Stick with it. Keep popping off videos. Keep doing video, and stay on here and make it. If you're gonna do it, you do everything full time and you do it to be the best. So if I did want to do this full time, that would be my regret as well as just being consistent because I've taken long breaks too. And for me, it's more than having the other things going on. It's when boxing is just not right to me, I just can't fake it. Like right now, I can't come on here and make 5 videos a week when nothing's going on. I just can't do it. So I get frustrated with boxing. I hate that by myself. I think that's a big regret of mine as well as I get so down on boxing that I just leave it alone, put it to the side, and then ultimately I come right back to it. Kind of like a scorned wife, domestic abuse. That's how I feel sometimes. So I guess that would be my regret. But for me, man, it's overwhelmingly good. I still talk to Hale and Spitz and Factoid every day, every single day. I still talk to you a lot, D-Style. So, and we disagree on a lot of stuff, about a lot of things, especially going on in the world right now, but we all still kick it. And we also have become close friends. So I appreciate that, y'all, man. I appreciate everybody accepting me despite whatever flaws I have. And I appreciate you inviting me on tonight, too.
Absolutely, man. Ashy, any regrets? Or you like the Frank Sinatra song, like too few to mention?
No, I would have to agree with consistency, man. But it's kind of like a double-edged sword to me. Maybe my inconsistency, because everybody who knows me, I will vacate from this bitch. From making videos. I'll be gone a year and a half and come back. You know what I'm saying? I will. Yeah. But at the end of the day, when I first start taking breaks, it was because I was having a career change. So, if I would have been more consistent, I probably would have never took that step to leave the field of education and go into oil and gas and got to that real money. You know what I'm saying?
Cash, yeah.
Yeah. So maybe it's not a bad thing after all, because believe me, my family is in like a so much better place, because of it. You know what I'm saying? So
you benefited from your breaks in your
I traveled all over the country. You know what I'm saying? I saw a lot of people. Yeah. It's been pretty cool.
Yeah, you did a lot of good things.
Man, I regret all the beefs I used to have. I used to have so many beefs on here. It's not even funny, but
hey,
I don't do it anymore. But
I loved my beefs. I loved my beefs. I loved my beefs. I thought they were entertaining.
Well, what was that, Cal?
Hey,
I used to laugh at my beefs.
D-Style versus Men Take D-Style versus Men Take Bubble Baths was like Hagler versus Hearns. They used to just go at it.
That was funny.
I used to go at that dude. I think I battered him pretty good because he kind of just gave up. But I still, if I could go back, I would just stop boxing. I would have been like Ashley, just show up and talk the sport. You know what I mean? Like if I could go back to rope-a-dope, just concentrate on having a good show and don't focus on the numbers and all that other shit. You know what I mean? So that's a regret I have. You know what I mean? I was too riled up in that. You know what I mean? I think I would say that. So it is what it is. With that said, guys, you guys have any final words before I wrap this one up?
Yeah, I got some. COVID-19 threw me off as far as keeping up with the web stuff and the Facebook come out fighting Facebook page. So, like Calix said, when the fights really start picking up, and shout out to Bob Arum for pioneering the movement to bring boxing in a bubble. I mean, at least we're getting it. We don't get to see the fans. It ain't like I'm looking for them anyway. When the fight's on, it's not like I'm looking, to see who showed up. But shout out to Bob Arum for pioneering the movement to bring boxing back. But when the fights really start picking up, then I'll start picking up as far as trying to bring content. So,
all right, okay.
That's what that would be my final point too. Is I'll be back too. I was just getting back in the rhythm, man. Just getting back in the rhythm because I work from home now anyway, since before all this started. So I was getting back in the rhythm. Fury versus Wilder. Respect to both of those guys. That was just a great build-up. And a lot of good content was coming back. It reminded me of the old times of YTBC. A lot of good build-up was happening with that, and I hope we can get back to that. I hope this thing could get better sooner than later, and we can get back to that, and we could get more fights like Fury Wilder 3, because I think there's a lot of intrigue, a lot of question marks still behind how that fight, the third fight, will play out with that. So I'll be back with the content whenever that happens. Like I said, I think a lot of stuff's going to start popping off in November from what I see. Pacquiao versus Crawford. I think Crawford would run through Pacquiao at this point, but I'd love to see it. I think Crawford's the best fighter in the world. So we'll see. Just to recap my thoughts, I still think that Errol Spence Jr., unless he's just a crash test dummy at this point and just a shell of him for himself, I stand by my comments. I think he runs through Danny Garcia easy. Y'all brought up a lot of good points with Malignaggi. I still think he shouldn't have been fired, though, because if we're going to fire people, we're going to be firing half of boxing at this point, because so many crazy things in boxing. This is such a corrupt ass sport. Just look at the stuff Tyson Fury has said in the past. So I just think that he should still be with Showtime. I don't know. That's just me, especially him, like Ashley said, being a great asset as far as a guy who can speak the sport. Not too many of those people left in boxing. Not too many people left that can really.
They may know
down a fight, in my opinion. So
different. You're right. Yep.
Good point.
He can articulate it. He can articulate him and Andre Ward. I'm not a fan of Tim Bradley. As far as I think he gets too emotional, like a Teddy Atlas. He gets too emotional in it. I like guys who can lock in and break down a fight. I'm glad.
You're not a fan of the live instructions.
I'm kind of going off on a tangent right now, but this is all.
It's what it's all about,
it's like
bro.
HBO. It is, but HBO. I miss HBO, the old HBO, but those guys, man, they were getting so bad. Lampley, and you talk about guys who should have been fired. Lampley had issues with domestic abuse. Max Kellerman had issues with domestic abuse, as far as I know. So I wasn't a fan of those guys. How they were breaking down fights at that point. I think they were too invested in fighters, company men. They were favoring Pacquiao, favoring De La Hoya. Whenever you remember Jim Lampley calling De La Hoya a beautiful man. So I think it was getting out of control. Showtime had a beautiful crew. They just had. I wasn't a fan of the UFC guy who came over, but you had Paulie Malignaggi, you had Al Bernstein. The guy with the glasses wasn't too bad either, but I don't know, man. I just like guys who can break down. I think Andre Ward is great as well. So I don't know. That's I'm getting off on a tangent.
What I miss, bro, I miss panels that have people that had disagreements, because I feel like too many shows now, just in general, all the podcasts, everyone's agreeing all the time. You know what I mean? Like it's people agreeing. I agree with you, and I agree with you, and So I missed that. Let me say this, and I'll let you close it out, B. But here's what I'll say, man. When I started YouTube, I sucked. Okay, I'm just gonna put that out there. I wasn't that good. All right. I was just a fan that wanted to talk boxing with other boxing fans. That's it. You know what I mean? Going to Rope a Dope, it helped me hone my skills as far as because you're live, you're unfiltered, it's direct, you got to be on the point, you got to be quick with your thoughts. That made me a better commentator to talk boxing on here because and props to everybody out there that gives me props and says, hey, these guys good at, but like I wasn't just born that way. I didn't just show up and like do my thing. I definitely gotten better. I'll be honest, I go back and listen to videos from 2011 and I'm like, man, I sucked. Like, you know what I mean? And it's the way I personally feel. And I feel because of Rope a Dope, I got better and all that. And with Hailstorm too, I think my time with Hailstorm, I want to do a Hailstorm reunion as well. So I'll save that for that. But I think, that helped me too. A guy like Mr. Factoid was really good, and
I liked him. He was funny.
You have to up your level and stuff. And it's the way it was. Shout out to 916 Chris and all that. Beeb closes out.
Well, I know things aren't great right now in the boxing world, but if things play out the way they're supposed to, we could finish this year out very strong, and I think we'll have a lot to talk about in the upcoming months. So I'm looking forward to it a lot.
Hopefully.
Yeah, and knock on wood, hopefully these fights happen and there's no positive COVID tested from any of these opponents that's supposed to be fighting. Because if like Lomachenko, now I'm hearing Teofimo's not happy with his purse, so that Lomachenko fight may not happen. So that's one bad thing. Yeah. So I don't know, man. So that's one thing I'm worried about.
That fight's great, man.
That's one fight that I was really looking forward to, and if that doesn't happen, I'll be very disappointed. But the Danny Garcia, be careful. Yeah, I think Teofimo's going to beat him, but I like the Spence Garcia fight. I'm looking forward to Wilder Fury 3. I love the Tank Davis Leo Santa Cruz fight. I think that fight's going to be a lot more competitive than people think, and I got a video coming for that one, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. I got a big surprise with that fight. So I'm just hoping that these fights do happen, and the main one that I really want to see is Teofimo versus Loma, because I think that's going to be a great fight.
Yeah, man. Hey, shout out to the chat, man. Stormy B, man. Access Stone, I appreciate it. You love the old channel. I'm just comparing it to now. You know what I mean? Rockwell, even though you're saying UFC over boxing, you're still welcome. It is what it is right now for sure. But, yeah. But shout out to everybody. Blood Boxing is apparently jamming to corridos. So shout out to Blood. He's working on that. He's working on a Salvador Sanchez documentary. So make sure you guys check that out when it comes out. All right. That's going to be some good stuff. And go to Retro Boxing document. A lot of great stuff. A lot like I know Calix is a fan of Jack Johnson. He has a lot of content over there. You can check it out. So it's a lot of stuff. A lot of this Roger Mayweather documentary is great. The Pernell Whitaker
Jack Johnson. Sam Langford.
Sam Langford. I think he does talk about him too, but the Pernell Whitaker documentary is awesome. I just got to tell people right now. You guys got it. It's a 3-part. Go check it out. All right. With that said, guys, this is D-Style Boxing, and for Beeb, Calix, and Ashy. And I want to thank you guys, by the way, for coming on. All right. Keep it boxing, guys. We're out. Peace.